Joining us now is Denis Dion, the author of Grace is the Love of God Within Us. He's also a husband, a father, a grandfather, a great-grandfather.
A great-grandfather.
The list goes on and on. He's worked as a broadcaster at Western Mass News for decades before retiring. And his retirement, and he started writing books, so you just started writing books. That's what you decided to do when you retired.
Yes, I started writing. I didn't write a book right away. It was mostly a reflection on the daily readings of the Mass, and probably about 2 or 3 years of doing that, I went to bed one night and just couldn't get to sleep because the idea of that first book, Who Moved, just one chapter after another just kept coming to me, and finally, about midnight, I gave up and just said, "Okay, Lord, if you want me to do this." So I took a pen and paper and I drew out about 12 or 13 chapters, and finally got to bed about 3 in the morning, and it started the book after that.
What about Western Mass News? Tell us about that before you even talk about the books.
Well, Western Mass News is a television station.
Right.
There are 2 TV stations in the Springfield market, and I was in radio for 27 years prior to that, then joined the Channel 40 team, and that's what they consider themselves, Western Mass News. Western Mass encompasses probably about 20 to 25 small towns and villages, a couple of cities in there, Springfield, of course, being the largest one.
Do you miss it?
I don't. I got the year that I retired, I was ready to retire. And,
gotcha.
I enjoy my retirement very much, and that's when I started writing a daily thing on the readings of the day, and from that then came the first book, which was Who Moved. That's what it got followed about a year or 2 later by Grace.
So when you retired, how did your prayer life change at all? What does your prayer life look like after you retired?
My prayer life changed quite a bit because I started going to daily Mass, and I had the time to do that. And so I was doing that. And while shortly after that started, I was asked to visit nursing homes and visit the sick. So I started doing that, and I got joined by my wife there, and we did that ministry for quite a while.
Your wife is our audience today. I love it.
She is our audience.
She's a good audience too.
Yeah, and she's very quiet though. She doesn't applaud too much.
Well, you've been married 64 years. There's not a lot of applause that goes on after you guys know
Right.
everything.
Now you focus in Graces. You focus on people in the gospel who are kind of role models to us in the way that they allow God's grace to work within us. Can you tell us who some of those people are you focus on?
Well, one of my favorite people is Saint Joseph, simply because he doesn't say anything. We never hear him speak one single word. Even when Jesus was found in the temple, it was Mary that spoke up, which is kind of unusual for the times, I think, back then, for the mother to speak up rather than the father. But Joseph doesn't say a word through the entire 4 Gospels. But yet, he brought Jesus up. He was inspired.
Sure. Yeah.
Inspired. We don't know how old he was, how much older than Mary he was, but they were betrothed, and at first he was going to divorce her, as we all know, but through the Holy Spirit and through the angel Gabriel, who kind of whispered in his ear, he took Mary in, and both of them together raised Jesus. So I have a great admiration for Joseph, simply because he just stayed back and just did his thing.
I know that if it was me and one of my kids disappeared and I couldn't find them at that age, I would absolutely say something. It would not have gone, thank goodness he had Mary and Joseph for parents, because that would not have gone good at my house.
That would not have been good with me either.
So there's 4 different parts to the book it's divided into. Tell me about that.
Well, first of all, it's divided with what we know in the Gospels. And then I started to take on some of the people that did show up in the Gospels, but never really spoke out, like the apostles. Peter did say a few things, and we did get some of the others. But when we get to the apostles, they just, they were just people off the street that Jesus just chose out of nowhere, and they said yes. You take those 4 fishermen, Peter, James, and John, and Andrew. They were hardworking people, and they had families. Jesus said, "Follow me." 2 words, boom, and they did. And then some of the others, kind of like Philip and Bartholomew, they get mentioned, but very little. But yet they decided to leave their families, and they decided to go into areas that were very foreign to them as growing up. But they, through the Holy Spirit, through the grace that was given to them, the message of "Follow me," Jesus' words, got out to where they were.
And you've heard that message too. Can I ask you, especially after writing this book, how have you, Dennis, in your life, how have you responded to God's grace?
Well, let me tell you, writing that the daily reflections are totally God's grace. I'm not that bright a guy, and the reflections seem to just I read either the gospel or it could be the first reading, it could be the psalm, and something just speaks to me, and I have to do it, and I take the time to do it, even though I would rather be doing something else. I'd rather be golfing. I have to tell you the truth. I love playing golf, but I take the time to. That's my morning prayer usually, and if I don't have time for my morning prayer because we have a daughter that has special needs and has, in fact, she just received a kidney transplant at the end of January. So plus there's a major operation that's coming up very shortly. So there's a lot of my time is taken up going back to Boston because all of our medical care is at Mass General in Boston. So from Chicopee to Boston is about 90 miles, and
but I bet there's grace in that too.
So we that takes a bit of our time as well.
What's her first name? What's your daughter's first name?
Lori.
Lori, we'll pray for her.
Oh, thank you very much.
We'll ask our people to pray for her too.
Thank you so much for that.
Well, Dennis, where can people learn more about the book?
They can learn more about the book simply by going out to Amazon and buying them. Both books are available through Amazon. The publisher who published the second book decided to buy the first one and then put them both out to Amazon. So they're very inexpensive. They're paperback books, and they're available through Amazon.
And at the end of the show, we're going to be giving a copy of each away too.
So people have
wonderful.
they have to stay. Well, Dennis, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate the fact that you allowed me to get here and get the message out, because it has been difficult just to get parishes to allow me to speak to people.
Well, here you are on Catholic TV.
Great to have your wife as our audience too.